Hey there, it's Lacy J from Space Bear Media, the makers of Lost in My 40s. Did you know that you can go to spacebearmedia.com right now to access all our content, including our weekly video pre-shows where your hosts ponder ethical questions related to the week's episode and answer some fun questions just for, well, fun. Speaking of fun, if you have it thanks to our content, please consider rating or reviewing Lost in My 40s on your favorite app or recommend us to a friend who loves Lost. Hello, welcome back. It's Lost in My 40s. We are at episode 21, which is kind of cray. Today is a Sayid episode, and I think it's Christy's second time with Sayid, giggity. But first, before we get it from Christy, giggity, how about some power rankings from Benjamin? Where did we end last week, my dear?
We ended with Kate on top and Locke falling behind
Giggity.
into second place. Jack holding steady in third. Shannon at the bottom of the barrel with Ethan and Sawyer tied for second worst. And Michael rounding out the bottom three.
Alrighty. Christy?
Yes. All right. This one is called The Greater Good. It opens on Sayid's face, not his eye like most of them have opened on. He's at the caves and he's watching Shannon mourn over Boone's body. He sits down next to her and asks her if there's anything he can do, and she just doesn't even look up from brushing the hair off of Boone's forehead. Sayid tries to comfort her by saying that Boone was brave and refused to use up the antibiotics, and Shannon just nods quietly.
It's a really sad scene.
Yeah.
Like, she seems really genuinely upset. I guess we talked about that a little bit last week.
Yeah. I thought it'd be funny if she was just like,
He's
well,
like-
you can tweeze his eyebrows.
He's the person that she relies on. You know, when she has a need, she doesn't have her mom and dad anymore, so she calls Boone. And now she's lost basically her constant.
And because of her, they ended up on this flight.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So flashback number 1. You can hear airport security messages announcing that they're at Heathrow Airport, and Sayid is walking and he's handcuffed, and there are 2 men in army fatigues and berets leading him. They take him into what looks like an interrogation room, and a woman sits at the table and a man stands behind him. The woman makes a comment about how Sayid has been in a holding cell for 18 hours, so he should be ready to cooperate. And I'm like, do you really think 18 hours is enough to break Sayid?
Seriously.
I don't think
you don't know him.
Yeah.
So she introduces herself as Melissa Cole of Central Intelligence, and the man is Robert Hewitt from the SIS. They explain to him that 300 pounds of C4 explosives has been stolen from an army base outside of Melbourne.
Melbourne,
Australia.
I think they pronounce it Melbourne.
Melbourne?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really very good with the Australian accent, so I'm not going to try to go there.
I'm pretty sure if you say Melbourne, they're going to be like, "Oy, Americans."
I guess that's like when somebody says to me Baltimore.
Yeah,
like,
right.
No, it's Balmer.
Yeah,
It's what?
yeah, exactly. I think it's Melbourne. I think that's how they would
Balmer.
say it. Yeah.
Okay, so they're in Melbourne, Australia, and the guy tells Sayid that he's going to help them to find the terrorist cell that's responsible. And he's like, why do I care? You know, he says to them, I'm an Iraqi. I'm not a terrorist. And I just think that that's important to point that out, that he was very clear with them, you know, just because I'm from Iraq doesn't mean I'm a terrorist. So they explain the reason that they snatched him up is because Sayid's old roommate at university, Assam Tazia, is a member of the cell. He asks them, you know, why should I care? And Miss Cole says, because we know where she is. And it's apparent by the look on his face that he knows exactly who they're talking about when they say she.
Yeah, and we all do.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they go on to explain that if he cooperates, they'll give him the location of Nadia, or as they refer to her, Noor Abed Jazim. So
right.
now we're
Like he
back in
says
the
something
jungle.
like nobody ever calls her
Nobody
Noor.
calls her Noor. Yeah,
Yeah.
nobody calls her Noor. All right, so back in the jungle, Kate's walking around alone, and she finds some white fabric laying on a bush, and she picks it up, and then she hears rustling nearby. And Jack kind of like bursts through some plants, and he's looking rough. He's breathing heavy. He's pale.
Sweaty.
Yeah. I mean, he just gave how many pints of
Bunch
blood
of
to...
pints of blood, yeah.
Looking like he lost a bunch of blood and then went off to find a murderer or whatever he's
Yeah,
doing.
seriously. He looks absolutely terrible. Kate says she's been looking for him and that he needs to come back with her. He's given Boone too much blood and he needs to rest. Sorry about that.
So I noticed one thing in this scene, and I don't know why it bothered me so much. It's just like one of those little things. But Kate's shirt, she had like the cuffs of her shirt are spotless. There's nothing on them. And she's wearing a long sleeve shirt and she's running through the jungle. And I don't understand how her shirt is so clean. Why are their clothes so clean? It drives me bananas.
Well, and I think I point out later in the episode that her hair is looking very elvish.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, she plays an elf later on, doesn't she?
Right. And she's,
Yeah, in
she's
The
really
Hobbit,
looking
yeah.
like, like an elf, but in normal people clothes.
Yeah.
Why
Anyhow.
wear a long sleeve shirt on a tropical island?
Yeah. And how did you keep it clean? Like she's
Yes.
doing stuff all the time. You can't, the risks of, I don't know. It's just
Well,
another one of those things I'm complaining about, and I'm the only one that cares.
You wear a long sleeve shirt because you have fair skin. It doesn't matter if it's hot. If you get burned out on an island like that, or you anywhere where the sun is intense, that's way worse than being sweaty.
Yeah,
So-
right. Yeah, that's true.
Like if you just look at any sort of work crew that's working out on mowing
Oh, yeah.
yards or doing things like that, they're almost always wearing long sleeve
Like
shirts.
here in Texas, it's 103 degrees, and they're
Yeah.
up on a roof tarring it in long sleeves, just
Yep.
covered. Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, you just get fried by the sun, and that ends up being worse than sweating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. All right.
But yes, I mean, most of those people that are doing that work have cuffs that are probably not quite so spotless.
That's true, too.
Thank you for validating me.
Sure. Yeah.
Excellent point, Lacy. So yeah, Kate is like, you need to come back with me. And Jack refuses. He's like, no, not until I find Locke. He says that he knows that Locke lied and Boone didn't fall off a cliff. Jack feels like Boone may have survived if Jack's medical treatment had not been built on that lie. But see, I have a problem with this
Me too.
because he says that the leg was crushed.
Mm-hmm.
Why does it matter how that happened? I'm not a doctor, but like, really, this affects how you would treat the wound that you can't identify without any story to go with it? Like,
No,
I don't know.
none of it makes any sense.
Yeah,
There's
just-
nothing that he looked at the leg. He knew it had to be set. He knew it didn't slow him down in any way. Like, and then it doesn't make sense to me either.
Because
It's
I don't think he
Jack
realized that-
can't let go.
That's right.
Let it go.
Yeah, but I mean, what I'm saying, like, he's trying to make the case that had Locke told the truth, he would have been able to save Boone's life because he could have repaired his leg faster. Meanwhile, like, he died from internal bleeding. Like, none of it makes any sense. You're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Jack just can't let go. He's got to
Yeah.
find something to blame.
And Kate.
Okay,
oh,
yeah, I
that's
see your
true.
point. Okay.
Yeah. And Kate just says, the camp needs you to come back because they're all scared. So now we're back on the beach and Boone is being carried by the survivors to a burial site. Everyone's there, including Kate and Jack. And Boone is wrapped in a tarp and his face is exposed. Everybody's standing there in silence and some people are holding flowers. Some people are crying. Walt reaches out to hold hands with Michael, which I thought that was a very sweet
It was
moment.
sweet. Yeah.
And then
Question.
Jack covers.
A question. Why was he wrapped in a tarp? Doesn't that seem like a waste of a tarp?
Waste of a tarp.
That's exactly what I'm about to say.
Okay. I mean, maybe it was
Yeah.
Sawyer's tarp, and they keep stealing it from him. Like the hog or the boar got it last
boar
time, and
got it,
now
yeah.
Boone's going to get it.
Yeah. So Jack covers Boone's face, asks Shannon if she wants to speak, and she quietly says no. And then there's a moment of silence before Sayid speaks up. And he's like, I didn't know Boone very well, and for that I'm sorry. On our 6th day here, a woman named Joanna died. She drowned, and Boone was the first one into the water. I didn't know him, but I'll remember his courage, and I know he will be missed. And then I wrote, side note, I can't fathom why they're willing to bury Boone in the tarp. It's a huge waste of a perfectly good tarp.
Exactly.
And where are the
and also,
pins?
Sayid's speech was sweet and stuff, but he swam out into the water after Joanna and then nearly drowned himself. So Jack had to save him, and she died. But anyway,
it's because Boone
Sayid's
was a shit
and I know
lifeguard.
he's like, and I know he will be missed, and he ran a business.
Yeah.
and if I give this speech, maybe his sister will let me bang her.
Maybe she'll slap my
Yes.
knob.
Okay, so suddenly Locke's voice cuts through and he says, "It was my fault." And everyone turns to see Locke standing on the beach. Now, he's still absolutely drenched in Boone's blood. I mean, who
You think he
the
could have
fuck
taken
shows
his-
up to a funeral looking like that?
Yeah,
I know.
It's been a
he
couple
couldn't
days
take his
now,
shirt
too,
off
I believe.
what are you doing?
Why is the blood all up around his shoulders? It's almost like he jumped into
Well,
somebody's
he did
like.
a fireman's carry.
I guess.
Yeah, he
I
carried
guess
him.
he was carrying him. Yeah, it just seems so perfect the way it comes down. It's
Right.
Yeah.
No blood
Anywho.
on the stomach or
Yeah.
Anywho, change your fucking shirt before you come to a funeral.
I think
Seriously.
it's been like 2 days, hasn't it?
Probably, yeah.
At least one or 1.5.
Yeah, at least one.
So he starts telling them the truth about the plane and how he would have gone up, but his leg was hurt. And everyone just kind of stares in silence. And Jack looks absolutely enraged.
Yeah, like he's going to pop.
Yeah. Locke continues to explain that Boone found a radio in the plane and thought he could send a message, but his weight made the plane shift and he fell. And Locke said that it happened because he was trying to help us. He was a hero. Well, then Jack just starts moving aggressively towards Locke and demanding to know where he was. And as he's screaming, "What did you do to him?" he tackles Locke to the ground. Jack has just lost his damn mind at this point.
Yep.
This is
He's
not
got
the
it.
first time that Jack has gone crazy and put his hands around someone's throat.
He has some serious anger management issues.
Yeah.
Just can't let go. Can't let go of the throat.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, he's screaming, "Where were you? You just left him to die." And the other survivors pull Jack off of Locke, while Jack continues to just scream in anguish because he needs to fucking let go. Okay, and then it goes to the lost title screen. So we come back to the same moment, and Kate and Charlie and Sawyer are keeping Jack from strangling Locke when all of a sudden Jack collapses. And they're trying to get Jack to breathe normally. And Locke and Sayid share a look. So now Jack, Kate, Son, and Sayid are walking away from the grave. And Jack says that he knows that Locke is lying because Boone said he was told not to tell. Jack mentions the hatch, and Sayid is confused by this. Sayid's begging Jack to get some sleep because they need the doctor to be healthy. And
Not
Kate
wrong.
and Son... Yeah,
No.
Kate and Son chime in and lead Jack away to get some rest.
Yeah, they basically just grab him and steer him. You're going this way now, and you're
Yep.
going to take a nap.
Yeah,
essentially.
seriously.
Yeah.
Just
Like
get
what
him
you
a
do with, like, a
just get him a
3-year-old
juice
who's-
box. Yeah,
Exactly. So flashback number 2, the scene opens up in a mosque and they are praying in, I guess, Arabic. And Sayid is bowing to the ground and he looks to the left and he sees the guy who is his target. And then as he looks to the right, the man looks to the right and recognizes Sayid. So they go outside the mosque and the man approaches Sayid, who pretends to be surprised to see him. They share some small talk about Assam being a tree cutter. And then Sayid asks how Zara is doing. Assam tells Sayid that she was killed by a stray bomb while shopping for a dress. And then he invites Sayid over for dinner, and Sayid accepts.
The question, one thing I've never understood with Muslims when I know they face east, right? Because it's supposed to be praying
towards Mecca.
facing towards Mecca. Mm-hmm. But does it make a difference where they are in the world, or is it do they just always, no matter where they are, they always face?
No matter where they
east?
are, they face east.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Okay.
if you go east long enough,
Yeah.
you're gonna get back there. So,
Sure, if you go east long enough, you're going to be every other place too. So,
Well,
I guess it keeps it simple. Like, you don't have to have like a compass or whatever.
If you go east long enough, you end up at the same place you started.
Exactly.
You might need a compass if it's like a overcast day and you can't see where the sun is.
Yeah.
I
So what
mean,
if you're
haven't you
due
ever seen
south of
Robin Hood,
Mecca?
Prince of Thieves?
Yeah. I know. Is there no sun in this
Morgan Freeman is
country?
like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what if you're at what if you're at the North Pole? There is no east at that point, right?
Right. You face south. Everything
Everything
is south.
So, South
Well,
Pole too.
obviously,
this is what
Muslims
keeps
aren't
me up at
allowed.
night. Yeah.
Muslims aren't allowed to go to the North Pole. Then
I guess not.
What about Antarctica?
Antarctica?
Muslims
yeah.
aren't allowed to go to the South Pole. I don't know.
Well, they are.
I'm sure that there
We
are
just say east from
contingencies
here
for these
because the
things.
United States, we face east. If you're,
We
Yeah.
just need our Muslim listeners to please let us know what they do when they're on the North Pole.
Yeah.
Really that simple.
My guess is that when these practices started, they were somewhere west of Mecca, so they always thought, yeah. Anywho, sorry. Just
It's all right.
Just a curiosity about their prayer.
yeah.
Okay, so now they're in the apartment and they're drinking beer with Assam's two roommates. The place is small, and they tell Sayid that Sydney is very expensive. And Sayid tells them that he's on holiday when they ask about his career. Assam starts talking about the Australian beaches and women, and Sayid is eyeing up a smoke detector. So he gets up, he's talking about the beach that he and Assam had been to previously, and then he opens the smoke detector and exposes a listening device. A listening device, not advice. Sorry. Anyhow, he rips the
listening advice. Is it like
listening advice?
He rips the listening device.
Isn't that basically like Alexa?
Yeah,
like
pretty
listening
much,
advice.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so he drops Alexa in a cup of water, and he turns to Assam, and he's like, "So tell me exactly what kind of trees do you cut?"
Infidel trees.
Yes.
All right. One of the roommates asks Sayid who he is, and he responds by telling him that he was a communications officer in the Republican Guard. The roommate then says that perhaps it wasn't happenstance that led to the meeting at the mosque, but instead it was fate. And during that long pause between, it wasn't happenstance that led to the meeting at the mosque, it's kind of like you're kind of feeling like you're a spy. You're here to
Like
he's
spy.
busted.
another-
Yeah, that's what I
It's
thought.
another
They're
fake
like,
out.
You're
Yeah,
You're
right.
like,
exactly.
oh,
It's another
crap.
fake out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then then Assam is like, no, it was fate.
You're like, oh man, what a cuck.
Yeah.
I got a rube. That's it. This guy's a
What a
rube.
fool.
So back on the beach, Sun and Charlie are trying to get Claire to rest after having given birth, but she just doesn't want to let anyone take the baby. She's clearly very
Understandable.
worried. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
clearly very worried that someone might take the baby.
Ethan.
The dingo.
Yeah. I mean, at least they don't have dingoes on the island.
That's what Ben just said. You didn't hear him.
No, I
He said
didn't.
Ethan or a dingo.
I heard
Yeah.
Ethan. I didn't hear the dingoes.
You never hear the dingo. That's why they take your babies.
That's right.
The dingo took my baby. See, I don't do well with the Australian accent. Anyhow,
Wasn't bad.
so Charlie offers to watch Turnip Head while she sleeps, which is what he's calling him until he gets a name. He reassures Claire that no one's going to take the baby from her. He will not allow it. And she finally agrees and hands the baby over to Charlie.
I
And
mean, if
must
I was
say-
her, I'd probably believe him because, the last guy that messed with her, he shot him dead. So
It's true.
I feel
Yeah.
like if he says, I'm not going to let anyone do anything to the baby, I go, oh, okay, yeah, I believe you.
Yeah.
Shot Ethan.
Mhm.
Yeah. He's got a little clout now.
Yeah.
I must say that in this scene, Claire's lips are a natural shade of pink. They're very pretty, but they clearly put a whole lot of major pink lip gloss on her in this scene because that was definitely not her natural lip color. Just had to point that out.
I mean, I guess they'd still have. It's only 40 some days. There's probably still lip gloss around.
Maybe
If Shannon isn't hoarding it all.
You can tell it's a
Yeah.
bit of a slow episode when we're talking more about like lip gloss and like the whether or not people's cuffs are clean or not.
Like fashion on the island.
I do have a very strange obsession and addiction to lip gloss.
Mhm.
I've always got it with me. I've got one in the dining room, one in the living room, one in my purse, one in my bedroom. Like, I have lip gloss everywhere.
That's how I am with vibrators.
It's true.
You have one in the
Just-
living room, every room.
Yeah, everywhere I can reach them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. One over there next to the Sibian.
Ooh,
Next to the what?
Sibian. You don't know what a Sibian is?
Is that weird chair?
That's where they sit on and it vibrates.
It's like a saddle almost.
Mm,
Okay. I know
that what it's
I
like?
know it has nothing to do with Lost, but this needs to be your next fun fact. You need to go into
Yes.
and do one about a Sibian.
Oh, do I? All right.
Yeah.
I'll
Well, I mean,
see
it's
if I
just
can
my
work that in
suggestion.
somehow.
it's like a sit-down vibrator.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. As soon as you said chair, Christy, I was picturing that thing that George Clooney builds in
Yes.
Burn after reading.
Burn After
Yes.
Reading. Yeah. With the
That's
big
what I was
giant
thinking.
like dick that comes poking through the bottom. Yeah, that's great. I need one of those.
$200 all in, including the cost of the dildo. Those things aren't cheap.
They're not. That's true. All right. Do we want to talk about the rest of this episode or no?
Yeah.
Are we-
Let's move forward.
All right.
So further down the beach, Shannon is sitting alone, and Locke approaches her with Boone's pack and sets it down in front of her. She thanks him, and he sits down next to her, and he's still wearing that fucking shirt that's covered in Boone's blood.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Change your fucking shirt.
They have to have clean shirts. Look at Kate. With
I
her
know.
cuffs.
No, seriously.
So you can hear thunder in the distance, and Locke says that he should have told Boone no the first time that he asked him to go hunting with him. And she says, well, he would have gone anyway. And Locke says he understands that she must be confused and angry because he knows what it feels like when you lose family. He asks her for her forgiveness and then walks away, leaving her crying and glaring at him. Seriously, Locke, change your fucking shirt.
Yeah, he seemed really genuine in what he said to her, but yeah, what? Yeah, why?
That wasn't
they're
the right
covered
way.
in his blood. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
weird. Yeah.
Yeah, take a shower before you start this conversation.
Just jump in the ocean.
Yeah, something. So now we have Sayid leaning up against a piece of wreckage. He's tinkering with some electronics, and Shannon approaches, and she mentions that Sayid had asked her if there was anything he could do for her. He responds, anything. And she says, John Locke killed my brother. Will you do something about that? And this is when
boy.
Sayid realizes he's trying to stick his dick in Crazy.
Yeah.
And see, that's Ben's point. See,
Yep.
when he's dealing with the crazy,
Yeah.
he's not building his electronics.
Uh-huh.
Now she's sending him off
It's like-
on a quest.
Shannon, I would do anything for love, but I won't do that.
Oh boy.
Oh, my
All right. So Jack and Kate are sitting in a hut on the beach, and she's making him drink something. She's insisting that he has to rest. So she gives him a juice box, basically.
Yeah, she
BB
does.
juice.
Yeah. So he gets up and he's like, I'm going to go talk to Locke. But he has trouble standing up. And then Kate kind of helps him lay down. And she confesses that she crushed up some sleeping pills into his juice, and Jack falls asleep. But would they really work that quickly?
Absolutely not. And there's
No,
also he would taste them. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
silly.
Yeah.
You're like, Kate,
There's-
if this is date rape, I would rather be awake for it.
Yes. Can't rape the willing.
Yeah, no, and then right, he takes like a sip and he's out.
Right.
What? 45 seconds later? No.
Yeah.
That's silly.
Those are Hollywood sleeping pills.
Yeah. That's like chloroform at that point. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's gonna knock you out that fast.
But whatever.
So now we're back at the caves, and Locke is finally washing his fucking shirt.
Yeah.
All the ladies have been waiting for this scene, man. Getting
Yeah.
Locke with his shirt off.
Shirtless Lock.
Yeah. Oh
I'm
yeah.
not,
Well, I
I'm not
don't
drinking. I'm
mind
not
it.
playing the drinking game with that one. No.
He doesn't qualify.
He was gone for a day. He couldn't wash his shirt before he came back?
What the fuck was he doing that whole time?
This is a sticking point for me. The more I think about it, I need to check my ratings this week. I might need to just kill him for that. All right, go ahead.
So Locke is washing his bloody shirt in the waterfall. And Walt is looking at him, but when Locke waves at him, Walt just kind of leaves the area. Suddenly, Sayid appears behind Locke, and he asks him about his kidney scar. Locke says that it's a war wound, but Sayid says, it looks surgical. Sayid wants to know if Boone's radio was able to pick up a signal, and Locke says yes, but all he could hear is static, and there's no way it survived the fall. Sayid presses the issue, claiming that parts of it may be usable in the transmitter that he's building for the raft, and he asks Locke to take him to the plane.
Do we think there's any truth to this? Like, is he actually worried at all about any of the components, or is he just doing this to try to get to the bottom of this story?
I think he's just doing it to get to the bottom of it because in a later scene...
Yeah, he doesn't care about the components.
Yeah, like he says as much to her as like, I found out this information, and it seemed as though this was just a fishing expedition to see what he would do. To see if there was actually a plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're walking through the jungle, and Sayid inquires how Locke found the airplane. Locke lies to him, and he just says luck. So Sayid is basically interrogating Locke about the details of the day that Boone died, and Locke notices that he's being interrogated just as they come up on the plane.
He tells him something about
he calls him out.
He hasn't,
and he's like,
he hasn't lost those skills or something like that.
Yeah, he calls him out. He says, back in Iraq, you were an interrogator. And Sayid asks him, is that a question? And Locke says, yeah, you haven't lost your touch. So he goes on to tell Sayid that Jack called him a liar in front of everyone. So maybe Sayid thinks he's lying. Sayid says that he knows when he's being lied to. He says, there's a plane. With conviction. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess if you spend a few years being a torturer, maybe he thinks he can tell if somebody's telling the truth. Although torture is notoriously good at eliciting
people will say anything.
Answers,
just to stop the torture.
Yeah.
Right, huh.
So, flashback number 3. Sayid and Assam are playing soccer in a park, and they're, like, taunting each other. They start discussing Haddad, the roommate, and how he's been asking Sayid about explosives lately, so they think that he might have a target. Assam says he doesn't know the details of the explosives. He just knows that there will be an attack and that he will be a martyr. Assam seems really, like, visibly upset about this, and he tells Sayid that he doesn't think he can go through with it.
Yeah, like he was just told that day. He says, oh, yeah, I just found out. I was told I'm going to be the martyr. Okay.
Yeah, we're playing soccer. I'm going to kill myself later.
Yeah, great news.
Yeah.
So now we cut to a shipyard, and Sayid is with the CIA and the MI6 agents.
Yeah.
And he's begging them to let him get Hassam to turn himself in instead of blowing himself up. And the woman from the CIA says he's useless if he doesn't know where the C4 is. She needs Sayid to convince him to go through with it so that they can follow him to the C4. Sayid refuses, but they tell him that if he doesn't go through with it, they will arrest Nadia. She does have a record of insurgency, and they could pick her up as an enemy combatant.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
This is some fucked up shit.
Yeah. I mean, I guess when you're dealing with like national security and these types of things where you're expecting like, you know, mass casualties and these sort of like bombings, like you probably have to be fairly ruthless to try to like make sure that you're leveraging people the right way.
Right.
Yeah. It would suck to be the target of that.
Yeah. Right. It's so awful to be Sayid. And they're like, no, you have to convince your friend that he does have to blow himself up.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know if I could do that.
No.
It's all about the right motivation, right? So that's why they have Nadia in their sights.
And he has the motivation.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
They're manipulating him.
Once again, hoes before bros for this guy.
That's true, yeah.
It's twice now.
Twice, yep.
All right, so now we are back on the beach, and Charlie's walking down the beach, very poorly singing "Itsy Bitsy Spider" to Turnip Head. So Hurley's nearby.
He even says, "I'm going to call him Turnip Head because
his head looks like a turnip.
Looks like a turnip.
Looks like a turnip.
Oh, is that why? Okay.
Yeah, so Hurley's nearby, and he is correcting Charlie's lyrics, and the baby's just screaming the whole time. Charlie's like, he's been nursed. He sniffs his diapers, so those seem clean. He's not sure why the turnip is crying. So Hurley says it's time to break out the big guns. Then he starts screaming James Brown at the baby. He's like,
oh my God, the scene.
I feel good.
No. And
And he's like 8 inches from the baby's face. Like, what?
Like screaming.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So the baby keeps crying. And after Hurley is done singing, he goes, dude, that's all I got. That was how I would tame a baby.
Prediction. This Hurley makes an appearance in Christy's best moments later. And this might be the scene.
I don't remember off the top of my head. I'll have to look.
Oh,
off the top of your turnip head?
Yeah. Off the top of my turnip.
Christy does not have a turnip head. I've seen her head nearly shaved. It's actually...
That's true. That's true.
It's actually nicely shaped.
Not so much anymore. It's got
Well, now it has
divots.
Yeah. I mean, when you cut your head open, sure, you got a scar. But I
feel like there's a screw right here on my forehead too, because I can feel this lump.
Wild.
Yeah,
Are you sure
weird.
it's not a horn?
I don't know. Maybe.
It's lump.
I don't have one on the other
lump.
side though.
It's lump. It's in your
It's in
head.
your head. It's
If
literally
I shaved my head, it'd look like a road map.
Yeah, you guys both have scars on your
I know when I had an
domes.
MRI, that's what it looked like, a road map.
Yeah.
Even the
The
doctor
scars on your head?
Yeah, I had my skull cracked open multiple times. Yeah.
Yeah,
that was
both of you.
Serious scars. Yeah.
Yeah.
With your
We're all
heads
right in the
cracked
head,
open. Definitely different
It's
circumstances.
funny you
but-
say you've never broken a bone and yet your skull's been crushed. So it's like
That's true, yeah.
I think you have.
Oh, the
actually.
skull is a bone.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is. But it's not like an arm or a leg. It's just my skull.
It's just my skull. It's what
just
protects
my
my
skull.
brain.
The most important part of the body. Other than the penis.
I think Christy plugged Mowage for us last week, but this would be a good time to plug Zero Shame Stories. If you want to hear about why Christy and Derek have both had their skulls cracked open, go check out Space Bear Media's other production, Zero Shame Stories. I don't know what episode numbers they are, but just look. It says Christy and Derek right in the titles.
Yeah.
You can find it.
Yep.
Derek's, I definitely think
anyways.
Derek's is very good. So I highly recommend Derek's. I think
Derek's episode?
Yeah, I think that my episode is also pretty good, but I that's me. So,
So, duh.
Yeah.
I would need an
Oh,
outside
shit.
opinion on that.
They both
I'll have to listen
some,
to yours. I didn't know you had your head cracked open, too.
Yep. You'll have to listen to mine.
Like I said, different circumstances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they both have very, very kind of like strange turns of events that are like, whoa, like you things could have gone very differently if these things had not happened. Like,
Yeah, they both nearly died
yeah, you both nearly died. Exactly.
for different reasons.
Yeah.
Way.
Way.
Yeah, anywho's.
All right.
Way.
Back to the episode.
Yeah, back to the episode. We're back in the jungle, and Sayid is tasting heroin. So Locke tells him that the entire cargo hold is full of it, and it looks like they were smugglers. So Sayid questions him some more about the details of the day, including asking why Locke lied about the accident to Jack. And Locke says that he made a mistake. Sayid doesn't
He
respond.
says it with
except
earnest as well. Did you notice that? Like, he really means it. It's just like, I made a mistake. Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe him.
Sincere in the moment.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I don't think so. I think Locke is really, really good at seeming sincere, and I think sometimes he is and sometimes he's not, and you can't always tell the difference. But I don't think in this case, I think he's still trying to lead people off the path. Like he's saying, I made a mistake, but he's saying I made a mistake to let people drop their guard so that they won't be pursuing him any further. He's still trying to keep the hatch a secret.
True.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess that this is all a trait that he got from his daddy.
Yeah.
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 So whether or not he's sincere, I don't know. But Sayid doesn't respond except to say that he's going to salvage what he can from the radio and hopefully they can make it back before the storm hits. Sayid's rummaging through the plane and Locke asks him why he doesn't trust him. And Sayid says, well, for one thing, you've been carrying a gun around and you've told no one about it.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, the one thing I wondered here is like he says if we can make it back before the storm hits, doesn't Locke know that?
Locke should. He's the
because remember,
weatherman.
it's
it's like
going to
down
rain
to
in
the
a
second.
minute, and
Yeah.
it did.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a weatherman. Not a cobbler.
Nope.
Yeah, much to our chagrin.
Yeah.
Still
So
haven't gotten that
Sayid calls
cobbler.
him out on carrying this gun around and he's told nobody about it. And Locke tells him that the smuggler's body that they found dressed as a priest, he's, and then he hands him the gun in an attempt to earn trust. Sayid points out, you only gave me the gun when you were caught. So that's not trust. And Locke confesses that the person who attacked Sayid and destroyed his equipment way back in the early days of the crash was him when they went to go triangulate the...
Yeah,
That
so
answered
there's
one
one
of
of
my questions.
Derek's answered questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was Locke.
Yeah.
Did you
So-
suspect that it was Locke, Derek, when it
As
happened?
the series went on, not when it first happened, but as the show went on, I was like, you know what? Of all the people, I think it would be Locke.
Because he seems to be the most highly motivated to stay on the island. at
Yes,
this
he
point.
definitely wants to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things I thought I liked that Sayid had to say in this scene when Locke says that handing him the gun should earn him trust, and Sayid responds that though that earns you adaptability
Yeah, that was a great line.
Mhm.
for doing it like after being caught, which
Yeah.
I thought was great.
Yeah, so then Locke is like, okay, well, I'll tell you something you don't know. I'm the one who knocked you out. So this really pisses off Sayid. Sayid grabs him by the throat. He holds the gun up to Locke's jaw, and Locke says that he did what was best. He did what he thought was best because they shouldn't have been looking for the source of the message. Because the message said it killed them all. So Sayid
got a
wants to
point.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's not that the signal killed them all.
No, and it's not. I mean, I don't know that I necessarily agree with the action that he took, but he has a point that it did seem sort of foolhardy to go searching for, down a path that appears to end in certain
Yeah.
death. But,
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if that's a reason to assault someone.
The person who made that message just closer to this like harbinger of death than you are right now. So yeah. by seeking it out, you are inviting it in some way.
Yeah,
and I think
I
that
can see that
coupled with like Locke's sort of like metaphysical, attachment to the island, he seems to know these types of things. So,
Right.
in the same way, Walt seems to kind of like be able to see these things before that other people don't see, and that's definitely I think why Locke bashed him in the head.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Locke bashed him in the head because he was looking for the source of the message that said it killed them all. Sayid wants to know why he's telling him now. And Locke says that, because if he had told him earlier, then Sayid would not have been open to, quote, reasonable debate. I think that Sayid is still not really up to reasonable
Yeah,
debate.
right.
seeing as he's
How
got-
reasonable is your debate when you got a gun stuck
Right.
to your jaw?
Yeah, I
But
told
okay.
you.
Yeah.
I told you his
So-
brain is fried from Shannon.
Yep.
So he continues by saying that, at the time, we were all so obsessed with getting off the island and they weren't seeing things clearly, like now with the raft. Sayid wants to know if Locke burned the raft, and Locke tells the truth, and he says that he didn't, but he holds back that he knows who did. Sayid asks about the hatch, telling Locke that Boone mentioned it before he died. Locke tries to pretend that Boone was talking about a plane hatch, and Sayid lowers the gun. So it seems like Sayid believes this.
Yeah, you think he might be getting away with
Right.
his little fabrication.
So now we're in another flashback. Sayid and Assam are walking down the street, and Assam says he's not afraid to die, but he doesn't want to kill innocent people, which he will if he becomes a suicide bomber.
Right. Like, then what are you doing in a
Seriously.
terrorist cell?
Right.
Seriously.
That's not like it's, but that's
kind
kind,
of the
of
point.
the point.
Did you read the
of-
Did you read the job description at all
Yeah.
before you submitted your resume?
What
And
the
Jesus
hell?
Blow
Christ.
yourself up, kill innocent people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know,
All right.
must have 4 years experience with an MBA, must not have scruples about blowing yourself up. Jesus Christ.
Pay $12 an hour.
Exactly.
So
Jeez.
Exactly.
it's an American
80
job
80
listing.
versions,
Yeah, 80 virgins.
Yeah.
something like that.
It was like after about 3 or 4 virgins, I think you probably would want a pro.
Hey, Ben.
Yeah, babe.
Got any special occasions coming up that you need a card for?
Is this a trick question?
No, it's an advertisement.
Is this about barbcards.com again?
Bingo.
So I suppose you're going to remind me that each handmade card is only $1.50.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't come with busy backgrounds or flowery poetry.
You got it. Barbcards.com offers to-the-point communication within several different categories, including our favorite, potty mouth. And if you can't find what you want, barbcards.com can do customizations.
Can I still get all of my cards for no more than $4 shipping, no matter the size of the order?
You know it. Barbcards.com has got all you need. Hey, Ben.
Oh my God, what are we selling now?
Merch.
Our merch?
Yes, sir. Shirts, coffee mugs, wine tumblers, bottle openers, stickers, magnets, and more. Your choice of product and your choice of Space Bear Media graphic from any of our podcasts.
Please tell me we're not making merch now, too.
Of course not. We'll stick to podcasts, and Pixis products will do the rest.
Thank God. I bet you have more to say, though.
Sure do. Pixis Products is a small business run by a local mom, well, local to us anyway, who needed something else to do besides being a snack bitch.
What?
A snack bitch, also known as a mom with a young child.
There's still more, isn't there?
Yepers! Pixis Products works with other small businesses for supplies, art, and other collaborations at every opportunity, including ours. In fact, Pixis Products even gave Space Bear Media our own storefront on their site. You can find us at shopspacebear.com.
Say what?
You heard me. Go to shopspacebear.com and buy something.
So, what do female suicide bombers get?
I don't know.
I
72
think that's it. Nothing.
dishwashers.
Silence.
Nothing. Yeah.
Do they even exist? Is that a thing?
Yes, yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
absolutely.
That's unfortunate.
Sometimes they'll strap bombs to little kids and send little kids into a place, and then
They did that in Vietnam, too.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, because you wouldn't expect a little kid to
No.
be, strapped with bombs.
I guess you could say the same for women.
Russians
Wow.
used to do that in World War II. They put landmines on dogs' backs, and then they would teach dogs to run underneath tanks by starving them,
Oh God!
and then putting meat underneath tanks. So then when the Russian tanks would roll in, dogs would take off. They'd immediately try to go under a tank and kill the crew when the landmine went off. It's like one of the first smart weapons.
We're dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah, I mean, well, that Eastern Front
That's war.
saw the death of millions and millions of people. So,
Yeah.
yeah, man, I just brought the mood way down, didn't I?
A little bit, yeah.
Well, at this point, Sayid's doing his best to convince Assam to go through with it because of the greater good. Sayid invokes Zara and uses her memory to convince Assam to do it.
That's a dirty trick.
Mm-hmm.
It was.
Yep, he's definitely good at manipulating Assam.
Yeah.
Bros before bros.
He tells
Bros
him,
before bros.
I lost someone too, and there have to be consequences for the people who harmed them. Assam says, Haddad was right. It was fate that brought us back together. And
Oy.
Assam, yeah. Yeah,
Ugh.
Assam asks Sayid if he will be a martyr with him, and Sayid says, I will. So now
Terrible.
they're supposed to blow themselves up together. So back on the island, Shannon is sitting on her platform of bamboo. She's going through Boone's backpack. She finds a photo of the two of them together in his wallet, and she kind of stares at it. Sayid comes over to her and puts his hand on her face and asks her how she is and if she'd like to go for a walk.
You know, the one dangerous thing about this is she also found the checkbook. I don't know. When you look at it, when she was pulling the stuff out of Boone's backpack, the check that he had used earlier to write a check to Brian or whatever.
Oh, right.
She's got the checkbook now, and I don't know if I'd trust her with that.
No.
Even on the island.
She's going to take it to the Coconut Cafe.
Yeah, exactly.
The banana
Buy more
stand
torches.
or something.
That's where the torches are coming from.
The banana stand? There's always money in the banana
There's always money in the banana
Banana
stand.
hammock.
So yeah, they start down the beach, and Sayid's like, Locke took me to the plane. I believe that what happened was an accident, and Sayid is like, I have no idea why he lied, but it's unrelated to the accident. Shannon's clearly not happy.
She does not like that.
He ain't getting none
you are
tonight.
not getting it.
No.
So Sayid says, I understand that you have a need to assign blame. And she's like, you don't get it, do you? Just forget it. And then she walks away. So yeah, he's definitely not getting it that night.
Stomps off Shannon style.
Screw you guys, I'm going home.
Screw you guys, I'm going home.
So now we're back at the raft, and Walt, Michael, and Jen are working on it. Jen says something in Korean, and Michael seems to understand him. Walt is worried that the raft might tip over, but Michael's like, no, it won't. That's why I made it so wide. Michael finishes doing what Jen asked him to do and asks if it's good. Jen replies in English, good. So Jen's learning a little English. Michael's learning a little Korean. They're figuring it out.
Yeah,
Then
their relationship is sweet, considering where it began.
How it started.
Exactly.
Wow.
With them beating the fuck out of each other and trying to drown each other.
Yeah.
So now Walt is like, what if a shark attacks?
Good God. Walt.
What if we die?
Walt.
Yeah. Michael is like, we're not going to die. And Walt replies, Boone died.
And Michael says, yeah, Boone was an idiot.
Yeah.
So now Charlie approaches with the still screaming turnip head, and he's asking Michael if he knows anything about babies. And Michael's no help at all. So Charlie asks Jen, who says no.
Michael would know. Like they had Walt when he was a baby.
Yeah,
like when he was a newborn,
one
he
and a
had
half
him.
years
So
old.
like I was kind of wondering why Michael wasn't like, yeah, I know this.
Because he was
that.
busy. He didn't care.
Yeah, he's building a
making his
raft.
raft.
I guess
Well,
so.
also, that was 10 years ago.
Oh,
That's true.
He
You
forgot.
might have forgotten what you're supposed to do with, I don't know.
He works in construction. They get their heads hit a lot, so he might.
Yeah.
I don't know nothing about no babies. So here comes Sawyer, and he's bitching about the crying baby, and then Turnip Head suddenly quiets down. Charlie immediately notices that the baby seems to like the sound of Sawyer's voice, so he just starts following him, and this was absolutely hilarious to me.
Like a little hobbit
Yep.
following him through the jungle. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. So now Jack wakes up from his drug-induced nap, and he finds Kate sitting next to him with food. And
By the way, like she's just committed another crime. She can't stop committing crimes. This one.
Yeah.
No, she
Right.
can't.
Right. So she presents him with the food, and he's like, is there chloroform in it?
Yeah, I would not be taking anything from
Right.
her.
Yeah.
Suddenly Jack
I
Food or
bet
notices.
drink
you
wise.
would.
Food or drink wise. Anything else, though.
Yeah.
All right.
So suddenly Jack notices that the key to the gun case is no longer around his neck, and he takes off down the beach. Kate stays with him, and she's like, maybe it fell off, and Jack's convinced that someone took it while he was drugged. Sayid shows up, and Jack tells him that Locke is after the guns, and Sayid tells him it wasn't Locke. So now we cut Shannon in the jungle, and it has finally started raining. Thunderous rain. It's just, big old fat rain.
Big old fat rain.
Right. So she opens the gun case and she's loading a gun.
Seriously, Shannon?
God, Shannon with a gun. Ugh.
Seriously,
Yeah,
you're going to go
seriously.
fucking kill this guy? Are you serious, Shannon? Why don't you go paint your nails? Jesus.
Or she could just shoot herself and end it all. It's right there. She's got it.
Yep.
So, flashback number 5. Sayid is walking out of a corner store and a white van pulls up next to him. Hassad tells him to get in, and inside sits a very worried Assam. Hassad tells them it's time. So they pull into a warehouse where there's a truck full of explosives. Hassad gives them instructions on how to proceed and what to do in case of problems. He hands Assam a gun and calls them heroes. And he says, good luck, and walks away. So Sayid gets in the passenger seat. Assam is praying next to him. And then Assam starts the truck and Sayid tells him to stop. Assam interprets this as nerves and he's like, it's okay. And then Sayid confesses, I'm working with the CIA. I'm going to give you 10 minutes to get away before I call them. Assam is pissed.
Before we jump into this any further, I want to kind of go into because Hassad gave them a bunch of advice of stay calm. And it was just like, how the fuck are you going to stay calm when the end result of your action is blowing yourself up?
Death. Yeah.
I don't think that it's possible to stay calm. I think that the adrenaline would be pumping through your body so much that it's literally impossible to stay calm.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, ride with the windows down, all these types of things. I'm like, oh yeah, ride with the windows down. That's going to help me not think about my, blowing myself up.
Also,
I don't know.
When in the history of the world has anyone calmed down when somebody said, calm down? When?
Never.
Yeah,
true.
Never.
Doesn't work
Yeah.
that way. Does not.
Nope.
He also calls them heroes, and it's just such a mind fuck. Like, people really do this. They really blow themselves up thinking it's some sort of heroic
a lot of
act.
them also believe they're going to a much better place, so maybe they're not afraid to die.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And a lot
well,
of them
Taught that.
And a lot of them come from really shitty places where there's no
Their
opportunity.
life
There's
is
nothing.
terrible here,
Yeah.
so they think
Yeah.
the promise of eternal afterlife and happiness
It's terrible.
sounds great.
It seems insane to people who come from a place of privilege, but if you come from a place
Right.
where all you know is like pain and anguish, then that might be the something that's
say
very
it seemed
very
insane.
seductive.
I thought it seems terrible, sad.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's terrible
it
that
is.
anyone's in that position in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Sayid confessed. He said, you've got 10 minutes to get away before I call the CIA. Assam is pissed that Sayid set him up, but even more so that they're not doing this together. And Assam says, you said you lost someone. And Sayid says, her name is Nadia, and they know where I can find her. So Assam's like, you used me to find a woman?
Yeah.
Go Sayid and his women.
Hose before bros.
Hose before bros once again.
Assam is
Yep.
pissed about hose before bros.
Not
He
only
pulls a
that,
gun
but
on
he invoked Zara. He used his dead wife against him, and it's a lot.
Yeah. So Assam pulls a gun on Sayid. He's pissed that Sayid has used the memory of Zara to talk him into doing this over another woman. And he says, well, Sayid, I hope she makes you whole again. And then he puts the gun up under his chin and shoots himself.
Now,
Yikes.
this
And
main,
this is also where Sayid shits his pants.
yeah.
When Assam pulled the gun on him in that truck, Sayid looked like he was shitting
Fucking
his
terrified.
pants.
Yeah.
He absolutely looked terrified.
Well, I mean, I feel like I would be if somebody's pointing a gun at my face.
Yeah.
I think it's
I didn't say
entirely
it was unwarranted.
possible as well that Assam did not die when he did this, because if you look at the angle that he put that gun underneath his chin, it is very, very likely that if he pulled that trigger, that bullet went through his jaw, through his soft palate, and blew his nose out. Like,
That
it's
sounds
very
like an
possible that
awful
did
way.
not go through his brain because the way he aimed that gun. So, yeah. I was thinking about that. I was like, ooh, that would be really, really bad. It's like, I just shot myself and I did it wrong. And now
Blew your face off.
Yeah. And now
Oh,
I'm
God.
just like bleeding.
That happens.
Oh, I know it does.
Oh, terrible.
People put guns under their mouth, or they just don't put guns in the right place.
Or they try to shoot someone in the chest and they miss their heart.
That happens. Yeah.
You mean Sawyer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes, people go hunting with Dick Cheney.
Yep.
Oh,
Wow,
God.
that's a timely reference if we're back in 2004.
Yeah. It's around the time when this was playing, I think.
Yeah.
We are in our 40s, so.
All right, Christy, where are we?
So Sayid, Kate, and Jack are running through the jungle in the pouring rain. Jack collapses, and he's like, no, you guys keep going. Kate, somehow, the little waif that she is, she picks him up, and they start running together. So Sayid comes upon Locke with his hands out at his sides, and he's saying, she doesn't believe me, Sayid. Sayid tries to reason with Shannon, but, she's convinced that Locke murdered Boone. And he says to her, you've never fired a gun before. So she shoots the ground right next to his feet. She's like, okay, there, I've fired a gun.
That was kind of amazing, actually.
Yeah.
I liked her in that moment.
Yeah, it was a very ballsy moment right there.
Yeah.
Jack and Kate finally show up. Locke again tells her it was an accident. And Shannon says, well, Jack told me that, you were a liar. Sayid then tackles Shannon, who has fired the gun, at the same time. So Locke is thrown onto his back, and it looks like he's been shot. Sayid wrestles the gun away from Shannon as she's screaming. They
bloody fucking she is screaming like a maniac in this scene.
Yeah. She really, really, really wanted to kill Locke, and she's pissed that Sayid stopped her.
Yeah.
So they get up, and he apologizes, and she's just like, get away. And then she leaves.
He's done.
Yeah. Kate follows after Shannon. Locke sits up, and you can see that he's bleeding from his temple. So it looks like the bullet just grazed him.
Grazed him.
So lucky.
I always notice in network TV that they're really fond of shooting locks. It's that every time somebody needs to go through a door or something, they're like, hey, we can't get through. They shoot the lock, right? And then for some reason, magically, the door opens.
I thought you meant. I was like, wait, what? Because his name is Locke too, so I was really confused.
Exactly.
What you mean is you hate that Hollywood thing, how they convince you that you can actually shoot through a lock.
Yeah. And it was kind of a dad joke, but that's what made me think about it. It was like, oh, she's trying to shoot the lock. But then you think about it from a network TV perspective, they constantly shoot the locks, and I always wonder, how the hell does that work?
If a bullet grazes your forehead, do you go flying back 4 feet like that?
No, you wouldn't.
Okay.
No.
They just wanted to give the impression that she may have hit her target.
Hit him in the gut or something, or the chest or something. Okay.
Yeah. So, then Locke sits up. You can see that, he was just grazed. Jack gives him a death stare and then walks away.
It's but a flesh wound.
All right. So now we're back with Charlie, and he's sitting in a tent holding Turnip Head. And Sawyer is reading to them from a car magazine with his lovely glasses that were soldered together. I really like him in the glasses.
By Sayid, one of the last really useful things he did before
he got distracted.
Pussy crazy?
Yeah. Before he started going for crazy pussy. Yeah.
I think this scene is really sweet.
Oh, I love this scene. Yeah. So, Sawyer's reading to Turnip Head, and it's keeping him quiet. And Claire approaches, and Charlie Charlie shushes her and tells Sawyer to keep reading, because every time he stops reading, the baby cries.
It's really sweet.
Yes. So now it's nighttime on the beach. All their torches and bonfires are lit. I still want to know how these people know how to make torches. Shannon is sitting by one fire, and Sayid is by another one. And Kate approaches Sayid, and she says that Shannon just needs time. She's been through a lot. And Sayid says time won't make a difference. And, maybe he made the wrong choice. Kate says he couldn't have let her kill Locke, and he knows that. You had no choice, she said. And Sayid replies, there's always a choice. So now we're back to flashback number 6. Assam's body is being taken away. The CIA agents tell Sayid where Nadia is. She lives in Irvine, California, just south of LA. She's a lab tech at a medical testing company. She hands him a plane ticket and some money, and Sayid wants to know what will happen to Assam's body.
It'll decompose.
Yeah. No, they tell him that he'll be cremated, and he demands that he can change his flight so that he can claim the body and have a proper Muslim burial. Now we're back on the island. Sayid finds Locke out in the jungle by himself next to a fire, tending to the wound on his head. Locke thanks Sayid, and he says, I know what it cost you to save me. Sayid said that,
Pussy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Basically. Yeah.
So Sayid
Right.
says, I did it because I think that you might be our best bet at surviving on this island, but you're not forgiven and I don't trust you. And then Sayid says, Ben, do you know the quote? You do the Sayid version better than I do.
And now you're going to take me to the hatch.
Thank you.
Is that all right?
Yes, that was great.
Okay.
So again, Locke pretends like he doesn't know what Sayid's talking about. And Sayid says, John, no more lies. And then we get the lost title screen and it's the end of the episode.
That's a beautiful ending. The fire is like on his face and, he's John, no more lies. It's just like, uh-oh, Locke's in trouble.
He's like, you cost me pussy. I need no fucking hatches.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting to see that, just like, because there's a lot of episodes that ended with like Locke looking into the fire, right? Where it was like, the one where he was looking at like his wheelchair, and a couple other ones, like one of the very first episodes where he's just sitting there kind of staring. And it's kind of interesting to see that Sayid in this one is the one that's got that sort of that moment. And you see Locke in this sort of like less confident place than he normally is.
The Locke stare.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Today, for a fun fact, we are going to talk about enemy combatants. What did you say?
Sibians.
Oh, Sibians. Oh, Jesus.
I thought we had agreed on that.
No. We're going to talk about we're going to talk about enemy combatants, which was something care of Dick Cheney and George W. Bush. So what happened after 9/11 is this country went batshit and decided that we were going to attack the wrong country and start rounding up Iraqis left and right. So what we did, or what the Bush administration lawyers managed to do, was declare a special status known as the enemy combatant. And it was what is called an extraordinary legal status. And it permitted U.S. military authorities to detain indefinitely and without charging an individual, which basically it was a loophole to get around the Geneva Conventions is what we did. Big, proud fucking moment for this country. That's sarcasm. Anyways, yeah, so under international law, people have the right to... they have rights guaranteed as prisoners of war. And so what we did is we would call them enemy combatants and say they're not prisoners, and then we could deny them their rights. And we kept most of these people, as I'm sure everyone listening knows, at Guantanamo Bay, the detention camp in Cuba. And so we did horrible things there. We tortured people and basically because we called them enemy combatants. And so in this episode, when the CIA and MI6 threatened Nadia, saying to Sayid, we could pick her up as an enemy combatant, that is the weight that holds, this is the weight behind what they're saying, meaning that they could just snatch her off the street, which they did with many people in Afghanistan and Iraq, and just grab them, put them in Guantanamo Bay and give them no rights or no recourse or no way to get out, all on a suspicion of things like insurgency. So, excuse me, I'm choking on the bullshit that this country comes up with sometimes. So in 2009, Barack Obama announced that we were no longer designating the enemy, the people in Guantanamo Bay as enemy combatants. And that was big news. And it did exactly nothing, changed nothing. People are still there. And we're still pulling this kind of bullshit. So I just wanted to bring that up so, you kind of understand, like, Sayid's motivation there. What they're saying, is basically we could pick her up and torture her, which is interesting since, when we first met Nadia, she had been picked up and was supposed to be tortured by Sayid.
What's crazy about the whole, Guantanamo Bay thing is with Obama no longer calling them enemy combatants, that pissed off the right just about as much as the tan suit did.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing about it is, like, it didn't matter much once you lifted the title, because now it took away the ability to continue to kidnap people off the streets and call them that. But the people that were already at Guantanamo, we don't know what to do with a lot of them. And so they're just kind of like stuck there in limbo, which is left over from these policies of the Bush administration.
I think they're stuck there in hell. I don't think that's limbo.
Yeah, you're right. I guess I meant legal limbo is what I meant, but
yeah.
Okay. Shall we start with some best moments? How about Ben? Our best and worst moments, excuse me.
I mean, the best moment I think is probably going to be shared here is when Sawyer was reading the car magazine to Turnip Head and Charlie. It was just a really, I don't normally go for like the touching sweet scenes, but it was funny, and it was very, very sweet.
It's always nice to see the softer side of Sawyer too.
Yes.
Yeah. Worst moment was Assam shooting the front of his face off.
Legit. Yeah. That's also my worst moment. My best moment, however, was Sayid saying, "John, no more lies." Because for me, it means like, yeah, the hatch is going to be public soon, right? Like, it's starting to get discovered, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to, and so that, to me, that's the most exciting moment. Derek, what about you? What are your moments this week?
The best moment was, the whole Sawyer and Turnip Head exchange. It was just cool seeing Sawyer, like Ben said, a lighter side.
Yeah.
My worst moment was Sayid lying to Assam to get him to go through with the bombing.
Yeah, that's
basically
terrible.
Caused Assam's death and all of that.
Yeah, that is hose before bro's gone.
Yeah,
like next
just
level.
So he could go see Nora.
Yeah.
So.
Christy, how about you?
So you called it. My best moment is Hurley singing James Brown to Turnip Head.
Wow! I knew it!
My worst moment is when Sayid thinks Assam is going to shoot him. And, his fear in that moment is almost tangible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't see Sayid in a lot of situations where he's just fearful for his own personal safety, and that was one of those things. I remember seeing his face. I was like, "Wow, that's believable."
Yeah.
Yep.
He looked
What
fucking
did he think
terrified.
was going to happen? Did he think that Assam was just going to be like, "Oh, gee, thanks for the 10-minute head start. No harm, no foul"? I mean, the guy was already prepared to kill himself.
Right.
Yeah, seriously. Should have just set it off right there. Oh, really? This is what you think? Bam.
Yeah, I'll show you. Bam.
Yeah. I don't know why he didn't do that.
All right, so let's do some characters. Christy, best, worst, fuck, kill.
I kind of had a hard time coming up with my top 3 this week. So I went with Kate, and I'm also going to fuck her because that shirt looked so good on her, and her hair is all elvish, and I like it. My bottom is Locke, and also I'm going to kill Locke because...
Wow.
Yeah.
You really mad at him?
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
I had my best character was Sayid. I know that, he does some questionable things, and talking his friend into suicide is horrible. But it's this part of Sayid that I respect, and I have. I think it was the reason I made him the best character the episode he tortured Sawyer too, because it's not about the torture and it's not about the actions so much as it is his willingness to assess the situation and understand what needs to be done and just doing it. And there's something about that, about him, that I respect, even when it seems to get him into some questionable ethical situations. Yeah. It's just that specific trait that I'm drawn to for some reason. So I had him as my best for that reason, and also as my fuck this week. And then I had Hassad as my worst and my kill as well. But both of them were the same this week because he is the ringleader of the terrorist cell. And, had he not been doing all of this, the CIA and MI6 wouldn't need to have used Sayid as a weapon against his friend and as Nadia as a pawn. And so really he's responsible for all of it. And that's how I see it. Ben. No. Let's go with Derek, and then you can give us yours last, Ben, with the rankings. How about you, Derek, this week?
My best was Sayid for the same reasons as you. He was basically almost forced in a situation with this Yassam, because the whole enemy combatant thing with Nora and all that, he basically had no choice. He had to do what he thought was the best. And also he stopped Shannon from killing Locke, which is kind of contradictory to because my worst character and the one I want to kill is Locke this episode. Just for all the crap he caused, then I'm going to be fucking Kate because that shirt and her cuffs.
Those shirt cuffs.
I do remember the shirt. I don't remember the cuffs,
going?
though. I didn't remember how they're, yeah.
Well, they were
so
clean, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, they're so clean.
Ben, how about your rankings and how about overall?
Sayid's my top in this one. And one of the things that you mentioned it, Lacy, like he's sort of kind of, he sees what needs to be done and he does it. He's sort of direct in that way. But this was an interesting episode because he wasn't direct. Like this is one of the times where you actually really saw him kind of using subterfuge and these other things to achieve his ends, which isn't really normal for him. Mm-hmm. Kind of out of character.
But he was it was like a puppet though in those instances, right? He was being forced into that behavior. Yeah.
And it shows his adaptability, which is something he said about Locke earlier.
That's true.
Worse was Hassad. I think worse than somebody that martyrs themselves. It's somebody that's a ringleader for people to martyr themselves. It's like all of the sadistic nature, but none of the actual like bravery. So fuck him.
Right, like you like suicide so much, you go fucking do it.
You go do it, fuckhead. Right. I'm gonna fuck Claire. Because we've got to repeople this island. She's already proven that she's bountiful. So you just gotta keep the seed flowing.
She had a baby yesterday.
Hey, well, you know what? Some Irish twins. Give some Irish twins. We're working against time here, people.
Yeah, but you got to give her 6 weeks. You can't even put your thing in there yet.
Yeah, her back needs some time.
Well, we were talking about throwing a hot dog down a hallway last time. So same.
Oh my god!
And I'm gonna kill Essam because he already did. Just like I killed Boone last week. I'm not killing people that are unnecessary. Like I'm just killing people who are already on that path.
Oh, you're altruistic in your killing.
I absolutely am. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my defining characteristic.
Is it?
Yeah. You don't believe me?
I believe you.
For the power rankings, I don't think we've had really any movement in the top. We've still got Kate edging up a little bit. Locke has lost some ground this week, obviously. Some of you guys have killed him and disliked him immensely. Jack, old reliable, in third place. The bottom of the barrel is still Shannon. Though we've had some interesting developments here. We've had Ethan somehow eked back in to the second worst.
Because his points stay the same, but everybody around him goes up and down. So it appears as though he's popping Sawyer. Back and forth.
Just really Sawyer. Sawyer does something bad. He moves up to second place to tie with Ethan. Sawyer does something good. So Sawyer, because reading stories reading Car Magazine, he's dropped into third worst, which has pushed Michael out of the top 3 or the bottom 3. Yeah.
Alrighty. What are your final impressions, Ben?
I think there's sort of a slowdown before the end of the season. There's a couple episodes like this one and the last one that I feel like they slow things down a little bit. I did really like the kind of Sayid's backstory. It kind of it really actually tells you like this is why he's here. This was the story that leads directly leads into him being on that flight.
If he had just let them cremate Assam, then he wouldn't have been on the flight.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Exactly. And I do like that we're at a point now where Locke sort of hold on this specific power is starting to get abdicated a little bit. He's starting to show that he's kind of mortal, and other people have, somebody had to save him. And so that, and then also, just the kind of subplot of Turnip Head and him liking Sawyer's voice. I thought that was a charming, kind of clever little undercurrent in the story.
Definitely.
So yeah, I don't think it was one of the like great or even one of the better episodes, but it was entertaining, and I think I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree. Another episode that, it's informative. It gives us some more information. It pushes the plot along a little bit. But again, I think it's in this bit of a reprieve before we get hit with the end of this season.
Yeah.
And with next week, the drama ramps up a little bit more, and then the 3 finale episodes after that. And so I agree, like this Jack and Sayid 2-week combo is more of a deep breath, I think, before they start hitting us with the fast-paced and crazy ending to season 1.
So the deep breath before the plunge. Yes,
exactly. So yeah, I feel like I could just say the exact same thing I said last episode, which was, it kind of is what it is. I guess last week I couldn't even come up with worse characters. At least this week I had some terrorists to throw down on there. All right. How about you, Christy? What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you. I don't think that this one was quite as meh as last week.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It's still there, but last week was more than this. It gave us information, it gave us backstory. There just wasn't anything awesome, and there wasn't anything really awful. Right. So it was just very it plateaued.
The suicide is kind of awful, but you were also already expecting him to blow himself up. So
he was going to kill himself one way or the other.
Yeah, he was already dead.
Right. So it's like it's sort of shocking it happened in that moment, but it was like I had already made peace with the fact that this character was going to die. So it wasn't like, yeah.
Sayid shit his pants.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there was that. That's always fun. Derek, how about you? How did you take this episode, and did it leave you with any new questions?
I like this episode better than the previous one. I did find out more about Sayid and how he ended up on this flight. It seems like it's probably just like a kind of a fill episode before the grand finale, which I haven't seen yet. But really didn't give me any new questions, so I just still want to know what's in that hatch.
Want to know what's in that hatch.
I've got a question.
I can't wait until we get there. I'll tell you what, Derek, it's not this season, but it's not far away either.
I've got a question because I don't remember this.
Okay.
When I first watched this show, I was smoking a lot of weed. So a lot of this stuff is actually coming back to me as a surprise again. What's the baby's name?
Turnip Head.
Oh, Oh, I thought you were going to say it. Yeah, you got to wait. It's coming up.
Baby hasn't been named yet.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say, yeah. So that question will be answered by the end of season 1. Derek will talk more about the hatch later. But next week, it's Kate. It's Kate's final episode of the season. I am going to give it to you because I stole all the Kate episodes
I'd
this
rather
season.
Kate give it to me.
Yes.
I would love for Kate to give it to me as well. But I'm going to give it to you next week. Born to Run, episode 22. We'll see you then. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Lost in My 40s is a Space Bear Media production. Executive produced and edited by me, Lacy J. Sound engineering, editing, and original music by Benjamin Trimp. Like and follow Lost in My 40s on Facebook to interact with your hosts. Plus, follow Space Bear Media on YouTube to watch our episode pre-shows. You can also find us at SpaceBear_media on Instagram and Twitter. Or come to our website, spacebearmedia.com.